Afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to do a quick episode of Truck Talk and just cover some of the stuff I haven't covered for the past week. It's been about 2 weeks since my last video, and a lot of interesting things have been happening. I think that there are two worlds that are existing right now. There's the blind world, and there's the world of people who actually are starting to see things. But there are very few of us right now that I think actually see what's going on. There's still a lot of the people are still blind to what's going on, and we're seeing a huge collapse of pretty much everything that's centrally controlled. And I'm very excited about it. It's a dangerous time, but it's exciting to be living in this time period because we're getting to see a lot of political changes and a lot of economic changes, and just it's quite phenomenal. I can die a happy man because I lived through some really interesting history. But My title of this video is going to be "In the Land of the Blind, the One-Eyed Man is King." And I really hate that saying, but it's true. When you're lacking information to know what's going on and you're kind of blind, the few people that actually have information rule over everything. And we're seeing that those who in the past who have blinded everyone because they control the media, they control the stories of what's going on, and they make up everything. They're kind of losing credibility. Not really, kind of. They're really losing credibility publicly because people are beginning to see them for what they are. CNN has been caught a lot of times now trying to manufacture news and to set up narratives so that people will follow that, and they've been caught for it. So it's starting to fall apart. And some of these other movements like Black Lives Matter, whatever happened to Black Lives Matter? That communist liberal leftist movement is gone. In its place, you have all the white lives matter type people who are actually the Antifa movement, talking about how they're going to fight fascism. But when you look at their tactics, they're actually the fascists. And I've been posting a lot of things about those groups falling apart because they're starting to reveal themselves. Although we're seeing big clashes nationwide between the Antifa and the Patriot or Trump movement. So I just posted a video about the biggest threat not being Islamic terrorists, but being the communist, brainwashed, leftist mentality youth that are joining the Antifa and trying to fight the Patriot movement. And trying to destroy our constitutional rights and fight for censorship. So that's the biggest threat we face as Americans. On Friday, we had an awesome crash in the tech market. You had about a 113-point drop. They call it a flash crash. I looked at the chart. It doesn't look like a flash crash to me. A flash crash to me is like the chart going. But it kind of did one of these things. Did 113 points down. To me, the flash crash was back a few weeks ago with the Dow Jones dropping, 372 points. That to me was faster. So what we're seeing is kind of the hints of the controlled stock market falling apart and the controlled financial markets, because you have the central banks that are constantly going in. And who is in the stock market today? I mean, I'm in the stock market, but I'm shorting it. I'm doing it as the stock markets rally because I know that the economy is not good. And these flash crashes are signs that people want to get out of the markets, but the central bank the Fed wants them to get into the market. They want to sucker everyone into the market so that the Fed, who publicly announced that they were going to shrink their balance sheets, can unload their worthless assets onto the people that get suckered into the market. So don't be blind. Remember, the one-eyed man is king. So if you get a little bit of information about what's going on, you're going to see, you can pretty much figure out what's happening. And we're starting to see it with the store closures and everything. The economy is crapping out. That recovery, that so-called recovery that the Obama administration was always touting, that they had this great recovery. Well, if it's a recovery, you won't have a crash happen again, right? No, the money powers, who are basically the Democrats and the communists of the world, who are trying to make this picture look really nice and paint it nice for themselves. And now that Donald Trump is in power, they can actually try to crash it, because all their narratives are falling apart. Their Comey testimony backfired on them. There was no Russian collusion. There was no evidence that Trump had done anything wrong. He's not under any investigation, according to Comey. And instead, Comey threw Loretta Lynch under the bus. So he's revealing all the liberals and the Democrats and the leftists for what they are, corrupting influences. And the founder of the Weather Channel came out and basically proved that, or he showed CNN that there is no such thing as global warming or climate change. Climate change is basically a thing that's happened even before mankind is recorded to be on the earth. So, all this story about global warming and climate change as being a national security threat and things like that, these are the governments trying to tax everybody and set up. It started out with the Chicago Climate Exchange, Al Gore doing his Inconvenient Truth about carbon dioxide creating a greenhouse effect. And where light will come in, it bends because of the carbon dioxide, and then it changes its wavelength, so it can't leave the atmosphere of the Earth, and so it warms up the Earth. Well, last time I studied, when the Earth got really warm, you had dinosaurs. So global warming is not a bad thing. And if you study real science, you'll learn about photosynthesis, where plants use sunlight. They're the first actual solar cells that existed were plant cells created by what I believe to be God. You can debate what you want, but I believe God created the plant life to absorb the solar power, solar energy, and convert it into stored energy in the form of sugars and cellulose. So people who don't study science and don't know anything about photosynthesis, you should go check that out. Take a Bio 101 class and learn about how plants grow using carbon dioxide and the photons from sunlight. And you'll see that global warming, global climate change, now that they're finding out that the climates have actually gotten colder, and they're changing their communist rhetoric to try to include all kinds of catastrophic changes or whatever in climate. All that stuff's falling apart. So you're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing flash crashes. You're seeing, and you're seeing the stock market rally after the flash crash, because a lot of people short the markets on a flash crash. Sometimes a flash crash is actually driving that too. So they're trying to force people out of the markets and squeeze them out of the shorting markets so that they won't short the markets and reveal how everything's crashing. You can see that in Venezuela. Venezuela, communist country, communist socialist country, falling apart, and their stock market keeps rallying. So the banks will always try to make money off of you. And right now, we're seeing that with Bitcoin. There's a platform called Coinbase where it allows you to purchase cryptocurrencies, and the IRS is now starting to get into that space because they don't want to lose their money power. They want to be able to tax everybody, which is unconstitutional. If you study the history of the Federal Reserve Act, which created the Federal Reserve Central Bank and the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, before that, there was no income tax, and there was a way for the bankers, the money powers, to get control over our currency, our money, and to begin taxing us. And income tax is unconstitutional. You work for your money, you labor for it, you should be paid for it. Imagine it's like they're trying to broker your ability to make cash, which is garbage. Nobody should broker that. If you make something and you provide a service, you should be paid directly for that, nobody else. There should be no one else trying to get a fee from you. And that's what the leftists are trying to do. I also posted an article about how leftists are losing, the Democratic Party are losing the labor force in dramatic numbers, because a lot of people in this country are realizing, they don't have jobs. They want jobs. Democrats always talked about how they're for the working class citizens, but what are the Democrats doing? They're bringing in cheap, illegal immigrant labor into this country, and they're undercutting Americans for jobs. And Americans, they want their benefits, so they're not willing to let go of those benefits and to lower their wages in order to compete with illegal immigrants, because they got bills to pay. The illegal immigrants are coming in here and they're sending money overseas. They're living here cheaply, sometimes for free. And you got sanctuary cities like in California where the government's providing them housing. Governments, and when government provides it, guess what? Government doesn't have money. Where do they get it? They tax the people. So government is stealing money left and right from people, working people. They're income taxing them, and they're carbon taxing them. They're taxing so that they can provide it for somebody else. They're redistributing wealth. And some of these socialists who support, they call themselves democratic socialists because they think that that's different from socialism, but they support Bernie Sanders for trying to redistribute wealth. They're not realizing that's what wealth distribution is. It's taking from you when you vote for Bernie Sanders, and it's giving to the people you don't want it to go to. And you're going to be left destitute. While Bernie Sanders is making a killing as a politician, you look at all the leftists; they're making killings. Obama buying $1 million homes. Hillary Clinton wearing thousands of dollars worth of designer fashion and buying $1 million homes and building walls around them and things like that. Politicians shouldn't be making money like that in politics. President Trump not even taking a salary of a president right now is he's only working for $1 a day because he's already a billionaire. So he's basically saying, why should I take an income from the city, from the state, the United States, because I've already made my money. I believe in President Trump, but I think that he's going to get smashed by all these dying, entrenched, deep state, deep financial, deep media type people. They don't want to lose their control over the people. For years, they've been able to brainwash everyone with their news, and people just go to it and believe it and give it credibility. But I see all of that stuff crashing down now. There was credibility in the U.S. dollar, which is now under the control of the central bank, Federal Reserve, and the dollar's been crashing. And you're seeing cryptocurrencies going to the moon. So the IRS is coming into Coinbase, which is this place where you can purchase these cryptocurrencies, and they're trying to get information about anyone who's subscribed to Coinbase, because Coinbase is the only form of centralized or brokered type of ability for you to get coins. All the other ways of getting these cryptocurrency coins are not centralized. They don't have corporations behind them, so the government can't really subpoena them to get information from them. And so the cryptocurrency world, I believe, is sent by God. I believe that God gives us an escape from the Luciferians or the Satanists who are communists, who are trying to steal everybody's stuff and redistribute it to the criminals in their party. God has given us a way to escape these controlling elements, so that we have a choice, and it's based on faith. Faith goes on what you cannot see. Again, in the land of the blind, one-eyed man is king, and part of faith is having one eye open. It's your spiritual eye, to be able to see things and believe in them, even though you can't touch them or physically see them with your eyes. So the Satanists have been using that blindness to really take control of everybody and to tax the crap out of them, so that everybody's pretty much suffering. We're just on idle right now, just getting by. You make money and you pay it out to your bills. Then you make money, then you pay it out to your bills. And it's getting to a point where that's all going to fall apart, because now if you don't make enough money, the banks have now provided you credit where you can get money that's not yours to buy things that you can't afford today. Now you can afford it because you borrowed the money, but tomorrow you're not going to be able to afford it because you still got to pay back that money you borrowed. And so the banks have really destroyed the economic system, and we're going to see that start to crumble. So I'm just warning everybody to stay prepared. We're also, because the Supreme Court is going to be listening in on a case about police using technology to circumvent your Miranda rights. Your Miranda rights are your Fourth Amendment rights. Basically, you have the right to remain silent. If a police officer pulls you over on a stop, you don't have to say anything. You can stay silent, and the police will not be able to use anything against you. Doesn't mean you're not guilty, but it doesn't mean you are guilty. And a lot of the times, police can find ways to dig into your car without your permission. They can search your vehicle, and you sometimes don't know things are illegal because you're in a world that's so controlled. They create laws where now you might have some kind of thing on your keychain that's illegal, and you don't know it's illegal. and you consent to allow that police officer to come in, and he sees your keychain in your car and gets that illegal thing, and now you're a criminal because the government decided to make something illegal that really shouldn't have been illegal, but they don't want you to have it. So that's the whole point of the Miranda rights and your Fourth Amendment rights, so that you are protected from unreasonable and unlawful searches and seizures, where they come into your property and they find things that are illegal and they seize it and you don't know it. And so with technology like Facebook and like Instagram and like these videos that I'm doing, I'm putting myself out publicly. But if the police ever wanted to, they wanted to frame me for something, or they wanted to catch me for something, they could go to my phone company. They could go to Facebook. They could go to all these companies where I've posted video and have my information. They can subpoena that from the company, and the company will give it to them, and then they can use all that evidence against me, which in a way is like self-incrimination, because I put this stuff up with the understanding that I have free speech, and I have the right to say what I want to say. And, someone may be offended by that, and they might create a law that someday says that what I've just said is illegal. Now the police will be able to go in, because they've undone our Constitution, they could come in and arrest me. That's quite a big possibility, and I know that. I know that as a freedom fighter. That's why I fight for freedom. That's why I continue to speak, even though that risk is there for me. Because I would rather die free than live as a slave. Anyone who believes the government should be taking care of you, you're really a lazy ass. And you're setting yourself up for slavery. And you have no right then to join these Antifa groups and these anti-racist groups and these anti-slavery groups, because you're part of the problem. You're part of the reason why those kinds of injustices in society exist, because you don't educate yourself, and you go and you fight for things and that make it worse, and you fight against the people and the movements that are trying to undo those things. So these are important things. We're losing our privacy because I'm seeing it as the central authorities, all these controlling authorities are falling apart. So they're fighting for their survival. So initially, when it all falls apart, it's going to be painful for all of us. And that's why I warn you guys. That's why I'm telling you about the cryptocurrencies. Now, be careful in the cryptocurrencies. Because the cryptocurrencies are going crazy, I saw on CNBC, Jim Cramer is talking about them. Mainstream media places are talking about cryptocurrencies. So when that happens, it tells me that you're going to start getting some con artists coming into the market, because they can see they can make a lot of money off of these cryptocurrencies. And you'll get some fake cryptocurrencies that are going to come out. Cryptocurrencies, if you don't understand it, it is going to be the new system, especially the way I see it through Ethereum. A function on blockchain. Blockchain encompasses everything that we do in business society and everything you do in personal society. On your phone, you back up things, right? It's called redundancy. If I put pictures on my phone, I back it up later, so that if something happens to my phone, I can always go to the other source that has my information and upload it back onto my new phone, and I'm all good again. It's as if I never lost it. That's what redundancy is. It's having your information stored in multiple places. It's part of data management. Well, that's exactly what blockchain does. It decentralizes storage, where you don't have to go to a company to store your stuff, and you don't have to go home to store your stuff. Your stuff is literally stored everywhere on the blockchain, because everyone who uses the blockchain has a record of everything that goes on the blockchain. It's stored on their computer everywhere. So everybody has a copy. There's redundancy. So if there's a nuclear attack on the west coast of the United States, and an EMP blast just destroys all computers and they're all wiped out, but the East Coast is fine, next time you go get a computer, have it shipped to California, and you fire it up again, and you log onto the fixed internet, and you tie back into the blockchain, all those computers from the East Coast reload that blockchain portion back onto your computer. So now that redundancy has protected you from any attack. So if you talk about cryptocurrencies being in danger during an EMP or internet outage or things like that, no, because cryptocurrencies are going to be the new decentralized way we do business. No longer will you need to go to a bank to take a loan. You can just get it from another person. And you don't need to go to a bank to do your transactions, like writing a check. Why would you write a check to have the bank then process all the transactions and then transfer the money to your account? You don't need that. You have the account in your crypto wallet. In your data, it's stored. And when you decide to make a transaction, it goes to the other person or the other entity that you're transacting with, and debits from yours and credits theirs, and it's all fixed in the blockchain. It's all recorded everywhere, instantaneously. Everybody's ledgers are updated. So cryptocurrencies are the way of the future. And if you don't see it yet, you need to get learning quick. Learning quick, because it's going to be adopted, and the dollar may go in the toilet, and you may be left with, maybe you're a multimillionaire. If the dollar goes in the toilet, you got nothing to preserve your wealth. Gold and silver are controlled right now. I think eventually they'll be uncontrolled when it all collapses, but who knows when that will be. So right now you have cryptocurrencies, and that's why you have the IRS trying to come in, because it's decentralized. The IRS doesn't know who's doing transactions, who's making money, and they cannot tax you. To me, that is ultimate freedom. And ultimate freedom is, if you want to give to the government, you have the choice to give to the government. Shouldn't be that the government comes and takes money from your account when they want to. That's not the way it should work. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and provide for the common defense, do ordain and establish our Constitution of the United States of America, right? And so we, the people, are the sovereigns. We're the ones who ordain it as holy, that law, and support it. And it shouldn't be the representatives that we vote for who come in and tell us what to do and tax us. So all this system of control and manipulation is coming to an end. And, so start opening your eye so that you can be king in the land of the blind. God bless you guys. Have a good week.